So let's take a look at adding subjects to some new books that we have in the library. Here are a couple books that deal with Mexico. The one on the right says Mexico on it, and if we take a look at it, we can see in the contents that it has information about the geography, the history, so it seems to be pretty all-inclusive. And if you look at the CIP, it says Mexico-juvenile literature, and that's basically the only subject. So I would skip juvenile literature, because obviously we're in schools, and just use the single subject heading of Mexico. It's put in the 651 tag, which is for geographic names. With a book like this one, it says Aztec, Inca, and Maya. We're probably going to need more than one subject heading. Most likely we'll need one for each of these tribes of Indians. So there'd be one for Aztec, Inca, and Maya. And we go to the 650 field and add each of these subjects. Gun control. Now this is an interesting subject. In the past, the subject heading used to be firearms - laws and legislations. Now, if you look in Sears, you can see that it does say gun control. You can see if you look up firearms control, it now says use gun control. And when I turn to gun control, you can see I have a check mark because that's what I'm using. And also there are some suggested Dewey Decimal numbers, and the one that I chose, 363.3, I circled just for future reference so I don't have to keep double checking which ones I've used. 650 is control. There is also the subject firearms. So now we have a book on inhalant abuse. This obviously has something to do with drug abuse, so let's decide what we would use here. If we look in our subject headings in the Sears book, we see inhalant abuse and it says use solvent abuse. So that means we'll turn to solvent abuse and use that subject when we enter it into our MARC record. And under solvent abuse, we can see the UF, it's used for those other topics like glue sniffing, inhalant abuse. There's also a broader topic that you might want to use, social problems, and then a related topic, which is drug abuse. And it also gives you a suggested Dewey Decimal number of 362.29. You can add the subjects solvent abuse, drug abuse, and aerosol sniffing. Okay, so most of us are librarians in California, and we have a number of books on California. So I go to the Sears book, and the only thing I see listed under California is California Gold Rush, and you use California-Gold Discoveries. Well, what about other books on California? Well, this is where we use our general subject of Ohio. If you look back in the preface under key headings, the key headings like Shakespeare for places, United States, Ohio, and Chicago. So for my basic subheadings under California, I would turn to Ohio and see what they have there. And so here's the subject Ohio. It tells you that these subdivisions under Ohio can be used for any state. And if you go down the list, you can use any of these subheadings like census, church history, civilization, climate, description, so on. Use that for any state.